Arsenal fans, I'm sure you're feeling a bunch of emotions right now, as am I. It may be anger, despair, annoyance, whatever it may be. Trust me, you're not alone. Obviously, after the Everton game, there's a number of questions that need to be asked. I think these have been long-standing problems for Arsenal, problems I've spoken about before, and I think this match review, yeah, we'll review the game very briefly, the context of why it's so disappointing from an Arsenal perspective, and then we'll get into those kind of key topics and things that need to be addressed, and having discussions of why they haven't been addressed as of yet. So let's get into the game. Arsenal versus Everton. It was a pivotal game for Arsenal to win after the draw against Fulham. Everton had the postponed game against Liverpool, and so they were coming into this game, you could say, fresh. The game before that, they did win 4-0 against Wolves, and from an Arsenal perspective, it was the game had to be won essentially, and they didn't win. It was to me, one of the poorest performances I've seen. You look at the stats and you see 77% possession. Expected goals decent, but for that amount of possession, that amount of domination that Arsenal had in the game, neither did they create enough or look deadly enough. And in the chances that they did have, which should have been enough to win the game, they didn't take it. Nobody is exempt from for me in this performance. I think everybody was below par. And I'm talking about the midfielders, attackers, especially the defenders, didn't concede. They had nothing to do. So I'm not going to praise anybody in the team after a performance like that. And I say performance because did they perform bad? Probably not. But as a top team, you need to be able to break these teams down at home. And Arsenal have repeatedly struggled with the low block. I'm struggling to understand why we haven't made the necessary changes to deal with those problems that we see. Looking at the table, Arsenal after this draw sit themselves in third. Chelsea have the opportunity to create even a bigger buffer between them. Man City with the game against Man United could join level on points for Arsenal. Two back-to-back draws. They currently sit with 6 draws, the most of any of the teams in the top six. It's not good enough from an Arsenal perspective. Definitely not good enough at this present moment. Looking at the lineups, key things I want to call out. Again, Everton, got to give their hats off to them. They were structured very, very well. Two banks of four, very strong. And they weren't to be moved. They weren't to be pushed about. They were strong on corners. They did their job. Sean Dyche did an amazing job setting up his team to frustrate Arsenal and cause them a lot of pain. It's not the first time. Sometimes it's more at Goodison than at home. However, this opportunity they set themselves up perfectly. It was clear that they had a plan and it was a well drilled plan and they executed very, very well. On the other hand, Arsenal set up in a way that I think a lot of fans would have wanted us, especially in defence. Timber at right back, Lewis Skelly at left back, obviously Saliba, Gabriel at centre back. But why are we seeing Moreno? Why are we seeing Moreno? Mikel Arteta and Edu, because he's not exempt, even though he's decided to jump ship before we've actually completed this project or made significant progress in this project with a major trophy. You decided to bring in Moreno. You chased him for the whole of the summer transfer window. This summer transfer window was one of the most important from an Arsenal perspective. And you go out and you get Moreno. You're a winner, great. He needed to be a sure thing. Since he's come in, I've not been overly impressed. I can't lie, I've not been overly impressed. Number one dual winner in Europe. I don't see that level. He wins duels, he does well, okay. Not to the level of being a game breaker or someone who's completely shifted. I can live with him being out of the team. I actually don't think he should even be in the team. The best midfield for Arsenal is clear: Odegaard, Partey, Rice. Whichever way you want to do it. You want to put Partey in the six. You want to put Rice in the six. Do what you need to do. But Moreno coming in offered literally nothing. I saw nothing, no benefit from having him. Partey has been one of the best Arsenal midfielders, point blank. For this season, he's been better than Odegaard, whether it's been due to injury or whatever. He's been better than Rice. He's been Arsenal's best midfielder, but he's left out. He's moved to right back. These things to me aren't agreeable. The left sided centre mid who we were crying out for, you said was Moreno. Moreno's come in and he's not been the article that we wanted. He's not finished. He's not even partially finished. It's not even a draft yet, if we're being honest with you. I'm not happy with him. I'm not happy with the importance of the signing and how Arsenal went about it. This transfer window, no games could be played. You sold Emil Smith Rowe. You got rid of Fabio Vieira. In the times where Mikel needed to trust even Wanyeri, you didn't give him the opportunity. You went with Trossard in midfield. You went with Havertz and Trossard doing their weird number 9 thing that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. And when it wasn't working, you didn't put Wanyeri in there. So you didn't trust him, but you want to bring him on in this game, halfway through the game, take off Odegaard, bring on Wanyeri. You should have established him as a point of going forward. And it's one thing I'll talk about as well. In the game against Everton, when you know they're going to be defending, why do we need Moreno and Rice? Why? Why do we need Moreno and Rice? Why can't we have Wanyeri and Odegaard? Why can't we have two players who are going to play in between the lines, supporting our attackers from the get-go? We know Arsenal. If they don't score within the first 20 minutes, it's going to be a problem. We know that. Game states are so important for this team. They need to score early, get the advantage, bring the opposition out, and then score more. If they can't do that and the team is able to sit in that low block, we know that they don't have the dynamic force in their team, that X factor, that game breaker. That's what I'm talking about. You don't have that. Martinelli should have been that at this point in his career. Disappointing to say the least. His IQ is so poor. In his general play, it's so poor. There's passes that he should easily be able to execute, move on the play. There's runs that he should be able to make, taking on his fullback. You were up against a 39-year-old Ashley Young, and you did nothing. You did absolutely nothing. He had an easy day of it, let's be honest. And your young sprite player, I'm told, has pace. You've shown you had pace. And the performance was lackluster. This left wing position, you have Martinelli, you have Trossard. Neither are performing consistently. Why the hell did you sign Raheem Sterling as another wing option when you refuse to play him? It makes no sense at all. And yet we're meant to just be happy with where we are. It was a lot worse before. Yeah, it was a lot worse before. Last 2 seasons has been met with heartbreak for Arsenal fans. Why should we, now that the team that we've been fighting with for the last 2 years have fallen off to a degree, allow other teams like Liverpool, other teams like Chelsea to fill in that gap? It's an abject failure from the management and from the team around him who've allowed this to happen. This is regression when we should be progressing. Martinelli, not good enough. Hasn't been good enough for the last season and a half, if we're being honest. Kai Havertz, someone I defend, and someone who I back to perform. Not enough. Not enough. Whether it's support, whether it's, you need to be a focal point. You need to be up that pitch, demanding the ball, being aggressive, holding up the play. And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing too much dropping back into midfield, too much trying to support the creation. That's not your job. We don't need you to create right now, Kai. We need you to be that focal point. We need you to be demanding the ball from the players around you. Saka, decent performance, but again, no one will be celebrated today. Nobody will be celebrated. Saka, if people have doubts about you being world class, it's like games like this. You need to take advantage. You need to be the X factor. You need to find the why. You need to find the how. How can I break down Everton? How can I do it? And if someone has a knock on you about being world class, games like this can be pointed to as well. If he's world class, he would have found a way. And I'm not saying that that's true because I believe Saka is world class, but everybody needed to step up. Martin Odegaard, wasteful to say the least. Absolutely wasteful to say the least. He had 2 gilt edge opportunities in this game to score. Opportunities he should have put away. I'm going to create a dedicated video for this because Odegaard and what we need from him is that 15 non-penalty goal finisher. The person who's on the edge of the box, who's finishing those chances as well as being the link. Because as a pure playmaker, in my opinion, it's not enough. He's not good enough as just a pure playmaker to say, okay, that's all I need. No, I need those goals as well. I need those 12 to 15 goals a season because we don't have that in the striking position, because you are in opportunities to finish and you should be finishing. That's the standards I expect of my captain and someone who's playing in the Arsenal team. Nobody is exempt at all. Nobody is exempt. Drawing 0-0 here with the kind of performance that we had is a disgrace. Is an absolute disgrace. And it's made worse, and I'm going to quickly talk about it. The fact that Liverpool drew with Fulham are not seizing on these opportunities. But I guarantee you, Chelsea will seize these opportunities. Chelsea won't let these opportunities go. I can guarantee you of that. They will push, and Liverpool will feel the pressure. Not from Arsenal, but from another team. And if Man City win, belief starts to build back in them. But Arsenal failing to take these opportunities continuously, you can't expect to be successful at all. I'm looking at the manager here. I'm looking at the recruitment. Sterling, you brought in, you don't want to play him. Moreno's come in. He's not been a difference maker at all. He's another body. He's another body. I'll be honest with you. I wanted him to be so good. I've seen the stats. I covered him in a video on this channel. I was sure he would be the player that, okay, I've seen the stats. He's going to win the ball up. He's going to push the ball higher. He's able to get assists. He's big. He's strong. This should be the perfect player. And I'm not saying it won't happen. Don't get me wrong. But right now, for the season that we're in, for where we need to be, was this the signing that we had to make? Could you not have pushed the boat out further? Could you not got us a striker? Our backup striker, who you brought off the bench today, Gabriel Jesus, hasn't scored in 33 Premier League games. Is that acceptable? Why did you keep him in the summer? Kai Havertz, if he's not performing, take him off the pitch. But you won't take him off because you haven't got a replacement who's suitable. The squad building has to be brought into question. Did you build this squad in the right way? In some areas, yes. But was it so important to get a Calafiori this season? Was it so important? And if it was, great. But he's injured half the time. Tommy Yasu, injured half the time. These are questions that we have to be asking. The squad building in the summer, was it good enough? No. Odegaard goes out for half the season. You don't trust Wanyeri. You didn't sign another 8 that can be trusted, another 10 who could be trusted. But you got rid of Emil Smith Rowe. You got rid of Fabio Vieira. But you didn't replace them. You didn't strengthen us in the season when we needed to be strengthened. That's the problem I have. Absolutely not good enough from Arsenal. I won't sugarcoat it. Actually, very disappointed, to be honest with you. Everton are a good team. It's not the expectation that we should run through them. But at some point in the 90 minutes that we play them with that much domination, you've got to get the ball into the back of the net. And even with the opportunities that we did have, which were good enough to win the game, without a shadow of a doubt, you should be even creating more. 77% of possession. And you're telling me you haven't created enough. That's a problem. You have the ball. You're not doing enough with it. Not good enough from Arsenal. You need to go back to the drawing board. Get to Jan. Get to Jan. I'm not saying this team is done and dusted. I don't think the Premier League is in our future, if I'm being honest with you. How can it be with performances like this? I'd be delusional if I said that. You're drawing against Fulham away. You're drawing against Everton at home. That doesn't look like championship form to me. Liverpool pulling out a draw at home and with Fulham going down to 10 men for majority of the game. That's more championship like. Chelsea going 2-0 down to Tottenham and pulling it back. That seems more like a championship mentality at the moment. We'll see how things will play out. But from an Arsenal fan's perspective, a lot needs to change. Get to January. I don't think the current team is strong enough. I don't think we've got enough firepower. We don't have the X factor. I said it, and all Arsenal fans have been saying it for a long time. But the clearest factor or clearest example of when we needed the X factor was against Bayern Munich in the Champions League quarterfinal. We needed an X factor. It was clear as day that we needed an X factor. From that point on, it can't be any clearer that we need an X factor. And if you don't understand what an X factor is, it's a player who can at any time break a game. And that's not saying that they're consistently going to be on all the time. No. But they have that ability, that innate ability. No one in Arsenal really has that game breaker element. Trossard will come off the bench and get you a goal, yes. But he doesn't have the ability to stretch, to take players on 1v1 in the same way that Rafael Leao would. Arsenal need a dynamic X factor wherever it comes, whether that be an Isak who can run, who can link up, who can stretch teams, who's strong, who has a bit of everything. Game breakers, people who can really change a game. And Arsenal will know about Isak when he scored that winner. Newcastle didn't deserve to win that game, but they had a game breaker. They had someone who could create something out of nothing. Arsenal have that in Saka, potentially one other player, but past that, it's not there. So, guys, this has been my review of the Arsenal versus Everton game. Make sure to leave your opinions, your thoughts on the game. As I said, not happy, but hoping to see the team bounce back sooner rather than later. It's been EDA. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.